This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by the savage Alen Babic here in his hotel room in Milton Keynes. Alen, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me and wanting to speak with me. I'm very good. Just the night before the fight. It's always emotional. Been going through a lot in my head. Just sorting things out and stuff. That's it.
And then obviously, as I mentioned to you off camera briefly, I want to kind of get to know the man behind the savage a bit more. But one thing I do want to touch on, you mentioned this will go out tomorrow morning or in the day before the fight. But obviously tomorrow it's the evening now, before your bout with Noel Kennedy tomorrow. But I saw you just before you did an interview with Sky earlier, and Adam Smith called you over and he said, Alen, how are you? You said to him, Alan's not here now, it's the savage. Just talk to me about that mindset of the change from Alen Babic to the savage.
Well, listen, I think everything you want in life, you gotta believe in it. So I really believed in my alter ego all the times. So for 10 years I believed in it, and now it's real for me. For me, it's real. I just switch. I don't care about Neil anymore. I was good to him, these past few days, but I'm done doing that. I don't care. And Savage just wanna do damage. And I need that. I need that because fans are not gonna watch me box for 8 rounds. I'm not a beautiful boxer. I bring chaos and destruction, and I need Savage to be with me.
Is that the mentality you also need with regards to everybody's spoken about how nice Noel Kennedy is, but is it the mentality you need to forget about what Noel is like as a person and just realise, listen, it's just the two of you in the ring tomorrow, he's trying to hurt you, you're trying to hurt him. Do you need that switch of mentality?
Well, exactly. That's why I do it. That's all the things you said. It's 100%. He's such a good man. For Alan. I want to be friends with him after. He has a good charisma. He's a good guy. He didn't want to trash talk. Didn't want to do nothing. And he approached this fight like I'm the big favorite. And he has 3 times fights than I do. And he has so much respect for me, and that's what I appreciate. People give me respect. I'm gonna always respect back. But of course, tomorrow it's a different story. That's why I changed. I switched to, and I said, Alan didn't do it. Savage did it. It's easier.
When you fought Shaundell, we saw kind of Shaundell was confident. He believed he could cause you problems. He believed he would win. Noel's the same. He believes he will win, but he's just maybe a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed. And as we mentioned, a very, very nice guy. When the time comes and we see Alen Babic in, or the Savage in with somebody who's a bit more outspoken, a bit more out there, and maybe has a similar type of personality to what the Savage has, how do you think you'll react? Do you think it'll bring out an even better version of the Savage, or how do you think that would go?
Yeah, I'm always gonna go a notch higher. So whatever anybody brings, I have no respect in the ring. I have no respect for nobody. I spar with Dillian White. He knows that. He's the main star, and I have zero respect in the ring. That's why he loves me. He calls me for the toughest sparring sessions. I'm gonna elbow him. I'm gonna do all those kinds of stuff. I have no respect for nobody inside the ring. And of course, if you challenge the Savage outside the ring, you wanna get it. I'm not gonna stand and take it. I don't take no crap. I learned that through my life.
And then let's obviously move back to kind of your younger years. Then, as I mentioned to you earlier on, we're going to look back over the life of Alen Babic, or the Savage, and just take me back to kind of your childhood. What was the Savage or Alen Babic again? What would you prefer me to call you? Would you prefer me to call you the Savage or Alen Babic?
I'm the Savage now.
All right, so we'll call you the Savage. So take me back to the early years of the Savage, and what was you like in your younger years as a child?
Listen, I was not popular. I was bullied a lot. Actually, people don't know that. I was the victim of bullies all the time. I was a little fat kid with pimples. That's what I can say. And my mother didn't have much. But she gave me all the love in the world, and this is why I do all of this for her. So I can pay her a 5-year vacation and stuff. So she always gave me love, but she couldn't do much more than that. I had one shorts, one shirt for a few years, and stuff like that. It was hard growing up. I learned to live with very little. I don't need much. I just need to. That's why I always say I don't care about money. I know it's gonna come. I know the money's gonna come. If people wanna see me, if I start doing big fights, of course it's gonna come. But I don't care about that. I just wanna be people. I wanna be good with people. I wanna change something. I wanna make a lot of changes to boxing. I don't like these individuals who all flashy stuff, driving cars and stuff. I'm never gonna do that. If I do that, you slap me in the face, because I need to wake up. So it was just like that, It was hard growing up. I was bullied a lot. I was terrible at school. I had very bad grades. I never understood school really, I think I'm a pretty smart guy now, but then I don't know what it was. Maybe it was their fault, maybe it was mine, but I was the second worst in class always. There was one guy who was worse than me, and that's it. And I didn't have a lot of. I had a lot of friends because of the sports, but that's like male friends. I didn't have a female friend till I was 16 years old. So it was really hard, totally opposite of what you think now. So I carry all of that with me, and I'm proud of it because I never did anything bad to nobody. They did a lot to me. I never returned them. I was always good to my teachers. I was always good and respectful to everybody, and that is the most thing I look respect. Chandel didn't give me respect. I gave him respect and he called me a bitch. That just triggers me. Neil gave me so much respect and I was good. I'm not gonna do nothing to people if they don't do to me. I'm not gonna be like trash talker. I'm gonna attack. I'm not gonna do that. If you touch me, it's gonna be all hell. But don't touch me. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be friends.
You mentioned obviously earlier on in your answer there, you was bullied a little bit when you was growing up. As you said, I could never imagine the Savage being bullied now, but back then, how did the Savage cope with that? How did you cope with kind of being bullied back then?
Yeah, well, listen, I closed it myself, I just took it on my own. I'm a very tough man because of it, because I was alone and I had to deal with it, It was a different times. It wasn't like today. You just call somebody and they make stuff, My mother just told me one time I got bullied by this one kid, And I got home and I was all in bruises and stuff. And my mother told me what happened. I said, I don't know, the kid punched me. And she went mad and she took me outside to find this kid, to fight. My mother is a warrior. And we was walking in the streets of Hrgovic, my hometown, and we found that kid. And she was like, get him out, you're far bigger, why don't you kick him? I was like, no, mother, I don't want to, he's going to kill me. I was like that, But my mother was a warrior, and I took that from her. I always had it in me, always. I just needed a chance. I just needed a chance, and it's all good now.
Do you believe that was kind of the kickstart then for you to kind of change in your own ways and to start to stand up for more for yourself and the birth of kind of the Savage effectively?
Yeah, of course, because listen, I left home when I was 18. I just left home. I had, I don't know, 20 euros, 200 kuna. That's like 30 euros in my pocket. And I just left. I said to my mom, I want to do something, because if I stayed in Rovin, I could be a fisherman or a waiter. And I'm shit at these things. I don't know how to wait. I don't know how to do. I admire them, I don't know how to do it. Jinx keep falling off of my trade and stuff, so I was bad waiter. And I said to my mom, I gotta go do something. And she was like, where are you going? No, I gotta go. And then I started doing MMA. It was the kind of way to express my anger. I don't know. I was angry a lot. I was keeping it in myself. I was never bad to people, but I was, I was miserable. And then it started with MMA, and then I changed to boxing when I was 20, and that is just love on the first side. Boxing is a poor man's sport, and boxing gave me all of this. I owe to boxing everything I have. If I lose tomorrow and I never return to boxing, I'm gonna be happy I did it. I gave 10 years of my life to boxing. I'm already happy already. I'm a happy man because of boxing.
Before you came into boxing, Alen, when you was growing up, how did you actually see your life playing out for yourself? What did you want to do? What career path did you consider taking?
Well, I didn't see nothing. It was blank. It was really blank. I worked as a security guy, and I was doing security. No bounce, just security. The normal security guy. I was taking care of one hotel in Rovin. It was just, I don't know. I was sheltering grass, just normal walkway. I should tell people don't walk your dog on this path, like stupid jobs. And I was just doing that day by day. It was like 1 year, day by day. I saw my life going nowhere, nowhere. So I didn't really had anything until I met boxing.
You said to me off camera just before we started, you used to like to do some photography. Talk to me about that. Where did kind of taking a shine to photography come from?
Yeah, well, I was always artistic, you know. I like to draw a lot. I love photography, you know, and I love a lot of stuff. How do you say, artistic, you know. But I was never confident enough to do them because I thought I'm bad at it, you know. I'm not. I'm good at it, you know. And I like to listen to, you know, my song. It's the orchestra, you know, all this stuff. I like to watch that kind of music. I like to listen. And what did you ask a question?
Photography. When did you kind of start taking up
And
photography?
I just taking pictures with my phone like everybody, but I had a little sense of it, you know, where when to put stuff. And then I went to a school for photography. I finished that, and now I know almost everything I need to know about photography on amateur level, of course.
Photography, obviously, something that I never knew. I'm sure many people didn't know about yourself. If there was something you could share with me that nobody else would know about the Savage, what could you tell us?
Well, I'm a calm guy, you know. I don't think nobody else. I'm really calm guy. I don't do much outside of the ring, you know. I'm not gonna be flashy stuff doing, you know. I'm a calm guy. I like my girlfriend, you know, and friends, hang out with them, you know. Just normal stuff. I wanna buy myself house on some big, I don't know how you said, village, you know, like that kind of life, you know. Have a lot of kids and stuff. I wanna calm life after this storm of boxing. You know, I want to give 10 years of my life to boxing now, and then I want a calm life. You know.
So talk to me about boxing, man, Alan. When, or the Savage rather, when did boxing come into your life? When did boxing first stick out to you? What was your earliest memory of boxing?
Well, it was like I said, I went out of my home, you know, in like 19 in my 19th year, and then I was doing MMA for 1 year and a half. And then I went to the boxing gym in Rijeka. You know, I went there to train MMA. That was like arranged. It's some small clubs, you know. But I went there in the boxing gym just to try my hands. You know how the MMA fighters go just for hands. And I went there and everybody beat my ass. And I was the national champion in MMA. Yeah, I had 6 fights, 6 victories. I was good in MMA. And I was a national champion, and everybody beat me. The little kids, you know, I was 19 then, 20. I was 20. Kids of 16, 15 years beat me up, and I was like, I want to do this, you know, fuck MMA, you know. I want to do this stuff. So that is how I fell in love with it, you know. And I got beaten so many times in the beginning, but it was fast. Like maybe 2 or 3 months, I emptied the gym. Everybody knows that, you know, my hometown gym, I emptied. Nobody wanted to spar with me, you know. I was just, let's go. I broke my nose 5 times. I had 5 surgeries. So I really gave it all to boxing, you know.
What was it kind of that made you want to take up boxing instead of MMA? What was the biggest difference, and how did you find the transition in sports and the different kind of training you'd have had to do?
Well, it's that, like I said, everybody beat me up. I saw it. Boxing is a superior sport, you know. You know, the movement, the feeling, you know, the feeling of being trapped in the corner. I liked it, you know. I wanted to do that to others, what they did to me, you know. And I just saw it as a much cleaner sport. I love MMA. I still follow MMA. I love MMA, but I'm never gonna go back to MMA. You know. I just love boxing, and then I met my idol, Joe Frazier. I started to learn about boxing. Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, all of those guys, you know, Foreman, Lyle, I don't know who else, everybody, but Roberto Duran. I can go like this forever. I'm an encyclopedia of boxing because I studied every day. You know. I worked 12-hour shifts in casino, not just standing there. And I had a little phone, you know, with those little stuff. And I just swiped through Wikipedia all day. Just type in a name, Muhammad Ali, and then read everything about it. That's why I learned so much about boxing. You know.
We'll come on to kind of the history of the sport, and I know you're big on your history of sport in a little while, but just to stick with kind of the boxing MMA kind of background, I know you're a very passionate person, Alan, and you love boxing, but what do you make of when you see the crossover? So, for example, Mayweather-McGregor, what did you make of that when the fight was announced? Was you against it? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts?
No, of course I enjoyed it. I think everybody enjoyed it. You know, the pay-per-view showed that. You know, you can't say nothing. I love McGregor. You know, he did it. He's the guy who beat the game. There is a few guys in the world who beat the game. He beat the game of MMA. You know, he's the king. So of course I enjoyed it. You know, I don't think they can do anything to boxers, and boxers can't do anything to them in MMA. That's for sure. But I like that fight. I enjoyed it.
What about when you see the YouTubers getting involved in boxing? So, for example, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul is being talked about now. I don't know if you know much about Logan, but he's a YouTuber.
Yeah,
What do you make of kind of a crossover there?
Well, I don't like that part, But it's for them. Listen, they have their audience, I'm not gonna be their audience, and that's it. They can do whatever. I mean, those guys are very successful in what they do. Then you know how hard it is in that job, YouTubing and stuff, being influencer, that kind of stuff. So I take my hat off for them every time, But I don't think it's good for them coming to boxing. I think it's a little bit. It's not, how can I say, it's not, I don't know, I don't really like them going to boxing, but it's good for me. I don't know, I'm half-half, 50-50.
Alan, let's obviously talk about the history of the sport then. I know it's something you're very passionate about, something that you're, as you said, you're an encyclopedia of boxing. Where does kind of your knowledge go back to? What's kind of the earliest fight you remember, and what's your recollection of it?
Yeah, it was Gatti World trilogy. I was just learning about boxing 10 years ago, and then I started watching fights. Of course, Mike Tyson's and everything. I knew about Mike Tyson before, but I didn't knew about these other guys. And then as deeper as I went, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward was my favorite fight. Their first encounter, it was crazy. That is the fight that got me into boxing. I was like, I want to do this. And then I watched Holyfield and Bow trilogy. Then I watched, of course, Muhammad Ali before that. But those are the fights that got me into boxing. Rocky Marciano, I watched everything out of him. Jack Dempsey, everything you can find on YouTube, I watched it. I'm not an encyclopedia, but I know a lot about boxing. I am passionate about it. And of course, the smaller guys, Sugar Ray Robinson, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, everywhere.
When you was kind of watching, you got the Gatti Ward Wars, or you've got when Buster Douglas upset Mike Tyson. When you're watching kind of those fights, are you looking at them thinking, I want to be a fighter who's going to be in a war? Are you looking at it as, I'm the underdog who could beat the main person? What do you take from those fights?
Yeah, of course, but listen, as I watched the fights, I felt something, I always felt something towards boxing, because the first day I went to the gym, I got beat, but everybody saw huge potential. I first day in my training, my coach who holds pads said he never get this kind of punches, it's strong. I have a powerful punch, I'm born with it, my mother has a powerful punch, I remember it. So I think I took that after her, and I was just born with that strength. And then I said, I'm going to use it, because I'm not good at gymnastics, I'm not good at nothing else, bro. Everybody's better than me in that CrossFit stuff. Everybody knows I don't do that stuff, I don't look like a bodybuilder or a model or something, but I have that raw strength. Now I just needed the perfect trainer. I found my trainer, I went from the boxing gym to the boxing gym, and I said, no, this is not good for me. And I go, I just went by myself, and I found my trainer. We are perfect, and he, managed to put that all in some boxing style.
You've mentioned to me previously that Mike Tyson used to be, or still is, one of your favourite heavyweight fighters of all time. When you watch him, again, not everybody knows about Mike's personality and what he was like throughout his career. Is he somebody where kind of the savage persona comes from, because we see how crazy Mike could be in his kind of heyday? Do you kind of see similarities, not necessarily to the same level, but between yourself and Mike?
I mean, listen, if I get 10 fights and I end them all in 2 rounds, and I want to do that, of course, people are gonna start maybe comparing me to. I'm gonna be, I'm never gonna say I'm Mike Tyson. Of course, I would never say that. I have too much respect. But if I end 10 fights in the first 2 rounds, people are gonna start talking, and I want to do that. I want people to start talking. I don't think any of my fights gonna go past 3 rounds. It wasn't the case till now, and I don't think Kennedy has any chance to see the 4th round. So of course I just dare to dream. Everybody say, no, you can't say that. Well, I can. Fuck you all. I dare to dream. I just dare to be as great as them. There's nothing wrong about that. I know I'm not even close yet, but I just dare to be.
If you have in the past, or if you do in the future, when you if the time comes, or if you have, like I say, in the past, met the likes of a Mike Tyson or an Evander Holyfield or a Riddick Bowe, a legend of the sport, How do you react? Does kind of the fan in you come out, or do you try and play it very cool? Like, how do you react?
I'm gonna be the biggest fan in the world. I'm gonna shout and scream, like a little girl, you know. I love those guys. Roberto Duran, if I saw him, I would go crazy. My friend saw Roberto Duran, and I was just take pictures of him. I wanna just watch it. I respect those guys so much, especially the other guy. But of course, Tyson, Holyfield. Holyfield is now in better shape than I am, you know. So I respect them so much, and it would be pure respect. Everything they want from me, I would do. You know.
I want to try and go over a few kind of historic fights from the past generations. As we speak about Mike Tyson, what did you make of his loss to Buster Douglas? You know, shock loss to many. What did you make of that at the time?
Well, it was crazy, crazy. But I think Buster Douglas did an amazing fight, you know, because if you watch Buster Douglas in that fight, in every other fight, it's not the same man. He was man possessed, you know, and Mike had the thing with the cleaning lady, you know, the day before. But oh God, you know, it's a game of boxing. Look at Dillian White, you know, he was better than Povetkin whole match. It just happens, you know, and Mike couldn't really handle it the right way. I think if he could handle it much better than he did, you know, just kind of. But listen, Buster Douglas had his chance. That's what I said because when I go to Chandel fight, that's my chance. I'm gonna talk everything I want to, you know, because if I shut up, nobody's gonna listen to me. You know, you're not gonna talk to me right now. And I don't see now my friend, my brother Marko Čalić. He's not using the opportunity. I said to him, talk, brother. You don't talk nothing. Just shut up. You know, nobody's gonna follow you, brother. You know, you have opportunity at the biggest stage in the boxing, and you're a boxer. So I just took it with both hands. You know, of course, as I did this with every interview. I respect you guys. I wanna give you everything you want. You know, I don't care about people talking bad about me, good. You know, I just wanna give them what they want. You know, if they wanna see me.
To stick with just for heavyweight history, another 3 fights. I want to just touch on the Ali Frazier trilogy. Alan, what's your knowledge on those 3 fights? Obviously, Muhammad Ali winning 2 of them, Joe the one. Recollect kind of your memories of them all.
I watched the third fight for I think 10,000 times. It was the best fight. You know. Of course, first and second was a little bit lower than the first and third, but the third was amazing. You know, that's what I want in boxing. That is exactly what I want. I want Filip Hrgovic after we had beautiful careers, me and him. I want him. I want to fight him in the one of stadiums in my hometown. You know, in my home nation. So it's gonna be great. I won't fight like that. I want to fight 15 rounds. You know, I want us to be that tired and then go to war. You know, and that is what Muhammad Ali and Frazier did. Nobody does this anymore. Everybody looks out of their conditioning stuff. You know, Frazier didn't talk about that. He just went in and fight. Muhammad Ali didn't do that. He just went in and started dancing. You know, from the first second. And I think it was beautiful. I don't think we can see those kind of fights anymore. The similar fight was Dillian and Chisora. That was the fight that got me right back into the old time. That is the first time I actually saw Dillian. I was like, this is good. This guy is good, you know.
You mentioned kind of Filip Hrgovic there. We will come on to him a little bit more later on, but do you see a kind of a rivalry that could grow to the point where you do have a trilogy of bouts, and not necessarily again on the same level of an Ali Frazier, but certainly in Croatia that could be huge, because we don't, obviously certainly over here in the UK, we don't ever hear of huge stars coming out of Croatia in the boxing world. Do you feel though that yourself and Filip could kind of generate that interest and become the two which build it up over there?
Yeah, I'm working on it, you know. And I really don't like him, and he really doesn't like me, and that's also okay. And I'm really hard working on it, but he sabotages it, you know. He's afraid, and he just sabotages. He doesn't want to do that. But why don't give my whole nation? We never had such a rivalry, you know. We exist for like 30 years. We never had such a in my nation. So it's a big stuff for the whole of Croatia. Now we can fill up a stadium. That is why I'm into boxing, you know. And he's just like, no, why not, brother? You know, it's a good thing. We're going to make a lot of people turn to boxing. You know, we're going to make a lot of kids watching us want to be boxers, like I watched those guys, you know. So I think that there is something there, and I think boxing is bigger than Hrgovic, and of course it's going to happen, you know, in maybe 1 or 2 years, three years.
Where does kind of this hatred come from, Alan, between yourself and Philip? Where's it all stemmed from?
Well, listen, we trained together, and I did a lot of sparring with him. I was the only sparring, he is tough. He's the best boxer, and I was the only one who could spar with him. And I did that after night shifts and night shifts. And he never thanked me. He never said thank you. That would be enough for me. But it's not that. He has that persona that he's the best, the most beautiful. He's the classic bully. And I hate bullies. We are totally opposite guys. He had a perfect. He went into boxing. After 1 month, he was the champion of Croatia, and then he was champion of everything. you know. So that's a perfect life. And I was on my first national chair. I was fifth out of six. I started from the bottom of the bottoms. And we had. He doesn't know how it's like. And I don't know how he. I would like it for my mom. She could afford me to go to only boxing and stuff, and have a huge amateur career like him. I would like that, of course. Everybody like it, but I couldn't do it. I think we are so much so opposites. I don't think you can find two people that are more opposite than me. And I really don't I dislike him very much. He dislikes me. I think it's a beautiful story. It's a boxing story. It's an old school boxing story.
Philip's next opponent has been announced now, Rydal Booker. I don't know whether you've heard or not, if you know anything about him, but what's your thoughts on kind of Philip taking on that bout, especially when there's kind of noise between yourself and him being made, and knowing that you'll potentially be facing somebody like a Tom Little or a Dave Allen, provided Sunday goes to plan for yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm taking much tougher opponents. That is life. I had a much tougher life, so that is expected from me. He's just being nurtured like a little baby. He had a very bad opponents. He fought Molina. Molina is a teacher now. He was a good boxer 10 years ago. And he hits him behind his back all the time, behind his head. He does those kind of stuff. And his last fight, he fought a guy on the 5 days notice who is 700 on boxers. Cartozzi. Nobody ever heard about him. And he knocked him out cold. Don't do that. They're just bullying. He's just a bully. I would never do that. If Dillian tell me fight this guy, he's ranked 1,000 200. I would say no. I'm not gonna fight him. What you gonna do about it? I'm not gonna fight him. Give me someone worthy. So I think we have a lot of difference. Between me and Hrgovic, I took a lot faster route. This is only my 5th fight, and I'm in top 60, top 70 fighters in the world. So I think people are gonna see that. People are gonna start to appreciate it more.
What do you make of kind of his promoter Nisa Saulen's comments that he feels that you need to kind of go away and fight a couple of people who are a bit more recognised in the sport and have a more reputable name in the sport before you face Philip? What do you make of those comments?
Well, I will do that, but he's not gonna fight nobody until that. I'm doing that. Neil is much better than that Booker guy. He's 180. And much better than Cartozzi, who is 700. So I don't know what they're talking about. They're crazy. I wanna do noble things. I want us to engage in a noble fist fight. For the fans, for everybody. I could be friends with him. I don't care about what he said. But why did you? They're so high. And that Sauerland guy. He's also born with a silver spoon. They don't get us. They don't get us the real men. That's why the people love me, because they can. No, I don't know if they love me, but I think they do. You said it. But they can be one with me. They understand me. I'm just like them. I'm an average Joe who made it in boxing. I wasn't bred for this. This wasn't my path. I just chose that. I made it out of nothing, and I think they respect that because they don't know how to respect it.
Alan, what do you make of kind of the current heavyweight landscape? When you could certainly compare this era of heavyweight boxers to previous eras with the likes of Muhammad Ali, the Joe Fraziers, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis after that, the list goes on. What do you make of this era of boxers compared to the greats back then?
Well, I think before the boxing was better. That's my style. That's why I bring something old. This year is perfect for me because nobody is like me there. Nobody. They throw 30 punches around. In the first round with Chandler, I threw 97. So nobody even knows about that, and that's great for me, a lot of room for me. I have so much room. I said to Dylan, just give me anybody, I don't see anybody except the top, 5 guys, I can beat everybody because they don't do much, the boxing kind of slowed. for me as a fan. I would more likely to watch Joe Frazier throwing 100 bombs around.
That era of heavyweight boxers, certainly going back to the 60s and the 70s, there was a lot lighter, they weren't that heavy. With regards to weight, people always talk about your weight and can say, is Philip too small as a heavy? Would he be better at cruiserweight where he'd be a lot bigger? What do you make of those comments when people talk about your weight?
No, I don't really care. I was 98 kilos on the weigh. They got my weighing wrong again. They said 14.3 stone, but I'm 15.3. So I gotta take care of that. And listen, the baddest men on the planet were like 80, 90 kilos. Those are the dog weights. Those are the fighting weights. Nobody said you get bigger is stronger. Who said it? Nobody believes in that. But they had to say something. I'm really sorry if I made someone I don't know, uncomfortable, or they have to hate me and stuff, but this is my weight. I don't really train for weight. I train for boxing. I'm a killer in the ring. I'm not a killer on the weights. I'm very bad at weights. You don't want to see it.
Alan, what are you like kind of in training? I know that you love sparring more than anything because you just love to fight, but what do you do training wise? Is it solely on, or maybe 80% most focused on say sparring, or do you split it up? How exactly do you kind of split your training techniques and methods?
Yeah, listen, I have my coach. My coach he's Philip Hrgovic's coach. He made him. My coach made Philip Hrgovic. So he had two Olympians. He has two Olympians in his club. Hrgovic and Hrvoje Sepp, and now third one on the way. So it's Olympic boxing coach. He had Mario Preskar, if you remember. He had Mike Bernardo. Before that, he had so many great fighters, and he knows a thing or two about boxing. So we're just doing the old school, a lot of pad work. He's telling me what to do and stuff, and it's 70% sparring. It's all goes through sparring, because if you need to fight, just fight. Don't do everything around it. That's just oh, I'm gonna do that. Sparring is the toughest. Believe me, sparring is the toughest. I spar with Olympians every day. With Marco Miller now, he's a beast, 110 kilo Olympian. So he's gonna be an next Olympian. So, people just try to take a longer route, the shorter route. But there is no shorter route. You gotta spar if you wanna fight,
When you look at the top of the heavyweight division, you've obviously got Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Alexander Usyk. The list goes on. But for you, who do you see as number one? Is it Tyson Fury or AJ, who are the world champions currently?
For me, number one, it's Dillian White, of course, because I love him. But other than Dillian White, I think Joshua is number one. I think Joshua is number one. But I like Fury. And I like Joshua. I love them all. I love Wilder also. I love it's tough for me. I'm trying to think. I think I would say Joshua. He's kind of a perfect boxer, right now.
Who do you think has the most effective style at heavyweight? Tyson Fury, known to be more of a boxer. Anthony Joshua, a more robust figure, kind of do a bit of everything. Deontay Wilder, devastating power. Alexander Usyk, still question marks as to how he'll adapt to heavyweight when he faces Derek Chisora. But for you, who do you feel's got the most effective style?
Well, I think it's Tyson Fury. He's so unorthodox, but he's been fighting since he was like 4 years old. So he's a true fighter. He doesn't do weights. He's like me, I'm like him. We don't do that much weights. He's just sparring and doing pad work, He's just boxing. He is a pure boxer, People don't see that because he's not all cut up like Joshua, but he's a very, very good boxer, And of course, Alexander Usyk is a beast, That's the only guy Savage is a little afraid of. That's the only guy in the world I would say, fuck, I gotta go in. I would go in, of course, but it's the only guy I have so much respect because he had like 300 amateur fights and he won them like 99%. It's crazy. Usyk is a crazy guy.
What do you make of Usyk Chisora then, Alan?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm a huge fan for that fight. I can't wait. It's gonna be. I think Usyk's gonna get it. But I can see Chisora knocking me out. Chisora is crazy like Dillian. So I can see it going both ways. But I think Usyk is a much better boxer. Much more experienced. So I think he'll manage to keep Chisora at bay.
If Usyk wins that, does he prove then that he is world level once again at heavyweight and he deserves a crack at one of those world titles?
Of course, he's already a world level heavyweight. I think everybody knows that. Who doesn't know that? He is a world. He's an elite. He's top five heavyweights right now. He is. I don't think he has to prove anything. He had such a hard life to boxing. I think he proved everything million times.
Obviously, the only reason I say that is because people just at this moment in time question how he'll adjust kind of the weight against a more fully fledged heavyweight in Derek Chisora. How do you feel he will settle into the weight though? And do you think at all, I know, as I say, people talk about your weight and your own adaptations, but how do you feel Usyk will adjust to weight? Because a very different style to yourself.
Yeah, Usyk is a heavyweight. Listen, he's at the perfect weight for me. Like I said before, I had losses in cruiserweight. I never lost a fight in heavyweight. I fought amateur heavyweight and cruiserweight, and I had losses in cruiserweight, good losses, and good wins. But in heavyweight, I beat them all. They're slower. They don't punch harder. It's not as you think. If you have 200 kilos, you can't even move. you know. So I think Usyk is at the perfect weight. I think me and Usyk and I heard Gassiev went to heavyweight. There's a lot of little smaller guys coming. I think it's gonna be a much more better fight. Much more punches being thrown and everything.
If you take Dillian White out of the equation, if you was to look at the rest of the leading heavyweights, as we mentioned, Fury, Wilder, Usyk, AJ, you can put Povetkin in there if you want to. If they was all to fight each other, who do you think would come out on top?
Well, I kind of think, when you said right now, I think Tyson Fury would come on top because he's psychologically the best. He had so much things. He's mentally tougher than all of them. He almost killed himself. He really went through a lot for boxing. He's a natural born fighter. His dad was a fighter. His uncle, his granddad, everybody was a fighter. So I think Tyson Fury would go out with the win.
Savage, just before I let you go, there's a couple of fights I wanted to ask you about for yourself, that is. We've spoken briefly previously about a potential Tom Little fight. Is that the name, or is Dave Allen the name that you're looking at, provided tomorrow night or Sunday goes to plan for yourself?
Well, I think Tom Little has been already agreed. I think that's a done deal because we had to fight. Chandel was supposed to be Tom Little fight, and then Tom Little said he's not ready, blah blah blah, and then the Chandel came in. So I think that is the fight people want to see. All the fans ask me for that fight because Tom Little is a crazy man. We talk on Instagram all the time. He's a great man. I like him, but I like Neil too, and you're gonna see what I'm gonna do to him. So. And I think after Tom Little, I would love Dave Allen. I'm his fan. I followed Dave Allen when I had nothing. When he had nothing, I followed him. So I know Dave Allen, and he said he wanna fight me. I think that is the biggest fight for me right now.
Dave Allen sparring Alexander Usyk at the minute. What do you make of that?
It's beautiful stuff. He just gotta craft his boxing skills. It's beautiful. I was also sparring partner to many elites. That's how you learn boxing, like I said.
One person we actually haven't touched on is Dillian White, your manager. Talk to me about Dillian, and he's got his bout with Alexander Povetkin, his rematch announced now. What are we expecting to see from Dillian in that rematch?
Well, Dillian is an amazing guy. He's such a good guy. He made Savage. He's the man behind. He gave me a nickname. He gave me a career. He gave me a chance. Because before Dillian, I was in about 5 sparring camps, and I beat them all up. I beat them viciously, and nobody even looked at me. They just sent me home. And when me and Dillian was first sparring, it was a hard first round, and he said again, and he's just like that. He's a fighting man, and I'm gonna forever be thankful to him. I'm gonna be with him till the end of my career. That's the Savage promise because I love that man. What he did to me. And what was the question?
What should we expect to see in the rematch between Dillian and Alexander?
I think he was better in the first fight. I think everybody saw it. I don't think Alexander has anything else to give. He's a pioneer of the sport. He's a big stuff. He's a legend. He's a living legend. But I think it's time for Dillian to take over. Because he is stronger. He's much stronger. You saw it. And he just made one mistake, and it was enough for a Olympic champion to use.
Savage, just before I let you go, I won't ask you to do a raw like you did at the weigh-in earlier because it's very late. I don't want you to wake anyone up. But for all of your adoring fans who tune in to watch this interview, what would you like to say to them?
Well, I would like to say them that I thank them from the bottom of my heart. I have been through a lot of emotions these nights. And I just opened my Instagram, Twitter account, and I will read messages, and they're heartwarming, really heartwarming messages. There's like 1 in a million is a bad message, so everything is good, and I love you so much, and I'm gonna do this for you. As long as fans wanna see me, I'm gonna be fighting. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna do it.
Savage, in fact, one thing I forgot to ask, and I'll briefly ask you about, obviously, we're all in a bubble at the minute, and Eddie Hearn, the promoter, tested positive for COVID-19. The first on a Matchroom show, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I watched. I thought it was the April Fools. I was like, what month is April? It was the 4th, so it's not that. So it was shit hit the fan. I think he was a little bit too careful because of the corona, and I always said you don't if you're too careful, it's gonna catch you. I don't care about corona. I how could I say I acknowledged it. I know it's there, it's dangerous, but I don't care about it. I don't wash my hands every 5 seconds and stuff. And he was a kind of like that. So it caught him, and I hope he's gonna be better after it. I think he's gonna go through it without any serious injury.
Alan, we will leave that there, like I say. We'll leave you now to enjoy your evening and get some rest ahead of tomorrow night. I appreciate your time as always, and thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for listening.